Welcome to another deep dive into digital marketing all-in-one for dummies, second edition. We're on a mission today. We're going to crack the code of offers that people can't resist, those marketing campaigns that just click.
Yeah, and what's great about this book is it doesn't get lost in the weeds. It really gives us a clear roadmap, and it starts with the essentials. Your business model and brand identity.
It's like you wouldn't start building a house with a roof, right?
Got to have that strong foundation.
Exactly. And it's easy to think that business model and brand are the same, but they're distinct. The business model is the how. Are you, a subscription box, an e-commerce store, a consultancy? Your brand, though, that's how customers feel about you. It's the perception, the personality.
It's giving, what do you want from me, but in a business sense.
Right. Think about how the online retail model has exploded. Like years ago, if you wanted flowers delivered, you actually had to call a florist. Now, companies like 1-800-Flowers.com, they dominate the space. Their model is efficient, but it's the branding that makes them memorable. And speaking of memorable, this book really stresses that point about authenticity.
Absolutely.
Customers can tell, right?
Absolutely. Authenticity builds trust. It's not just about being honest. It's about genuinely caring about your customers and letting that show in your content.
Because nobody wants to just feel like they're constantly being sold to.
Right.
They want to feel like you get them, you're on their team.
And that brings us to crafting the perfect offer, which this book, I would say, dives into with gusto.
Oh, yeah. They break it down into three main types: ungated, gated, and my personal favorite, the deep discount.
Ah, yes, the deep discount. This one really resonated with me. You see, everybody loves a good deal, right? But this book takes it a step further with this idea of little victories. Have you found that to be true in your own marketing? It's about proving your value up front, not just talking about it.
100%. It's like giving a taste test at the grocery store.
Exactly.
Once you've hooked them with that initial win, they're more likely to come back for more.
Exactly. The book gives this great example of a software company, and they're offering a deeply discounted introductory period. It lets potential customers experience that value firsthand, so they're much more likely to convert to paying customers.
So it's not just about offering a lower price. It's about strategically using those discounts to break down those barriers, build that trust.
Precisely. It's about demonstrating your value proposition in a way that's tangible, that's irresistible. And that's what makes the deep discount, when it's done right, such a powerful tool.
So we've laid the groundwork with our business model, we've injected some personality with our brand identity, and we've crafted an offer that's just too good to refuse. But how do we get the word out? Enter content marketing. And let's be honest, this book is basically in love with content marketing.
And with good reason. Content marketing is the engine. That's the engine of digital success. But as this book emphasizes, it's not just about churning out content for the sake of content. It's about creating the right content.
Okay, so what makes content right? Give me the details.
Content that resonates with your people, with your target audience. Content that speaks to their pain points, that guides them towards a solution. And ideally, that solution is your product or service.
So it's not enough to just crank out blog posts or blast out social media updates. It's about being much more strategic and creating content that actually converts.
Exactly. The book advocates for a structured approach. Think editorial calendars, documented processes, even stakeholder interviews to make sure everyone's on the same page. It's about having a system, not just this content free-for-all.
Music to my organized ears. And it's not just about having a blog, right? This book talks about webinars, podcasts, even digital magazines.
Absolutely. It's about meeting your audience where they are and choosing the right content format for how they like to consume information. Webinars, those are great for in-depth discussions. You can do live Q&A podcasts, perfect for on-the-go learning. And digital magazines, they offer this format that's very visually appealing and easily digestible. It's about diversifying your content portfolio so you can reach more people, maximize your engagement.
So it's like choosing the right fishing lure for the fish you're trying to catch.
Precisely. You wouldn't use the same lure for bass as you would for trout, right?
Right.
You need to understand your audience,
Yeah.
their preferences, and how they behave online. And that's where data analysis comes in.
Okay, time to get real. How do we know if our content is actually working? The book dives into data analysis, and even for a data newbie like me, it was surprisingly approachable. So it's about looking at the right numbers, right?
Absolutely. It's not just about vanity, things like your website traffic or your social media followers. Those are great for maybe a quick ego boost, but they don't tell the whole story. We need to dig deeper. Look at metrics that actually matter, like customer intent, for example,
Hmm.
conversion rates, or even something like customer lifetime value.
So it's not about getting eyeballs on your content. It's about getting the right eyeballs and then turning those eyeballs into paying customers.
You got it. The book really argues that we need to shift our mindset from simply creating content to creating content that converts. It's about understanding what resonates with our audience and using data to constantly refine your content strategy.
Makes sense. It's not just about being creative, it's about being strategic. And speaking of strategy, the book touches on something that gets a lot of entrepreneurs fired up: scaling your brand. So, what does digital marketing all in one for dummies have to say about scaling a brand?
It's interesting, they caution against scaling too quickly. I know it's tempting to want to grow your brand as rapidly as possible, but they advocate for a more measured approach.
So, it's not just about getting bigger for the sake of it. What factors should people be considering?
Well, they recommend really looking at your brand, your resources, even your own personal strengths as a business owner. Before you hit the gas on growth, you really need to take a good, hard look in the mirror, both personally and professionally.
Okay, I like that. What kind of questions should we be asking ourselves?
Things like, what are my core competencies? What resources do I have at my disposal? And even something like, what are the potential risks if I do scale too quickly? Because as they point out, sometimes growing too fast can actually harm your brand.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between ambition and sustainability. You don't want to be a one-hit wonder, here today, gone tomorrow.
Exactly. It's about building a brand that can stand the test of time. And that requires careful planning, strategic decision-making, and a deep understanding of your audience and the market you're trying to reach.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from defining our business model and crafting that perfect offer to mastering content marketing and scaling our brand strategically. It's clear that building a successful online presence is a multifaceted endeavor.
But the good news is that digital marketing all-in-one for dummies,
Hmm.
it really makes it feel surprisingly achievable and, dare I say, even a little enjoyable.
And you know what else I found really interesting? The book actually dives into this world of B2B marketing, which honestly has always felt a little intimidating to me, but they break it down in a way that even I can understand.
You know, what I found fascinating about their approach to B2B marketing is their emphasis on account-based marketing, or as the cool kids call it, ABM. So
Yeah.
instead of just casting this wide net and hoping that you're going to catch a few leads, they're advocating for really focusing your efforts on a small group of high-value accounts. It's about quality over quantity.
So it's like spearfishing instead of casting a net.
Exactly.
You're targeting specific big fish rather than hoping that something bites.
Exactly. And with ABM, you're not just tracking those individual leads, you're actually tracking the entire account's journey. So you're looking at all the different interactions they have, the different stakeholders that are involved, and then how they're progressing through your sales funnel as one unit.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not about just getting one person interested. It's about getting the whole team on board.
Precisely. You're building relationships, you're building trust with multiple decision makers within that single account. It's much more targeted, it's a much more strategic approach to B2B marketing, and it can be incredibly effective.
But how do you actually measure the success of an ABM campaign? We talked about data analysis before, but does that apply here too?
It absolutely does. The book stresses how important it is to track account-level metrics. So things like engagement, velocity, and pipeline progression. They want you to look at how quickly those accounts are moving through your sales process, how many opportunities are being generated, and then ultimately how much revenue you're closing.
Okay, so we're tracking those big picture metrics for each account, but what about the content itself? How do you make sure that it's relevant to a whole team of decision makers, especially when they might have different roles and priorities?
You know, this is where the book's emphasis on understanding your customer's intent becomes really crucial. You have to create content that actually speaks to the specific needs and pain points of each stakeholder within that account. So for example, a CIO, they might be interested in the technical specs of your product, whereas a marketing manager might be more interested in how that product can help them reach their target audience.
So it's about tailoring your content to different personas within the account. You're not just creating this one-size-fits-all content, but really this suite of materials that cater to different needs and interests.
Exactly. It's all about personalization and relevance. The book actually uses a really great example of an IT department. Imagine you're trying to sell a new software solution. Well, the CIO wants to know how it integrates with their existing systems, right? The IT manager wants to know how easy it is to implement and maintain. And then the end users, They want to know how it's going to make their jobs easier. You need content that addresses each one of those perspectives.
It's like a choose your own adventure book, but for B2B marketing.
I love that.
You're providing different paths for different readers, but they all kind of lead to that same destination, which is a deeper understanding of your product and its value.
Precisely. It's about guiding each stakeholder through their own unique buyer journey. You're giving them the information that they need when they need it so that they can make an informed decision. And that's really what makes ABM so powerful. It's about building that trust and credibility with an entire account, not just chasing after those individual leads.
Okay, so we've mapped out our target accounts. We're crafting killer content that's tailored to their specific needs. But how do we actually get that content in front of them? That's where content distribution comes in, right?
Yeah, got it. And digital marketing, all-in-one for dummies, they give you a really helpful framework for this. They call it PESO, which stands for Paid, Earned, Shared, and Owned Media. It's a very comprehensive approach to distributing your content across multiple channels.
Okay, I'm intrigued. I've heard of paid media, like running ads, and owned media, like your website or blog. But what exactly are earned and shared media? Break it down for me.
Of course. Earned media. Think of that as the publicity that you get from other places, like media coverage or even just customer reviews. It's essentially free promotion. You've earned it through your efforts. Like, if you get featured in a magazine or a blog because your work is just that awesome, they had to talk about it.
So it's like word of mouth marketing, but on steroids.
Exactly. And then there's shared media. Think of that as the content that's shared by other people on those social media platforms. So it's kind of like word of mouth, but for the digital age.
So it's about using the power of other people's platforms, their audiences, to amplify your message.
Precisely. In the book, they stress the importance of having a really good balance across all four types of media: paid, earned, shared, and owned. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. No.
Right.
It's about creating a symphony of content distribution so it reaches your audience wherever they are through multiple touch points. So it's about being everywhere your audience is, whether they're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, reading industry publications, or they're on Google, just searching for a solution.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're not just relying on paying for advertising, but you're also cultivating earned media through PR, thought leadership. You're encouraging that shared media through engaging social content, and you're building a really strong foundation with your own owned media.
That's right. It's about creating this multi-pronged approach. And the book gives a ton of practical tips on how to do this. Everything from how to write a really great press release to optimizing your website for search engines.
Okay, so we're creating awesome content. We're distributing it across all these different channels. But how do we actually know if it's working? We talked about data analysis before, but can you remind me, what should we be focused on?
This is where data analysis comes back into play. And this book, they offer some really, really insightful advice on how to track the right metrics and then how to get some really good, meaningful insights from all of that data.
So we're not just looking at those vanity metrics like the likes and the shares. We're going deeper to really understand how is our content impacting those business goals.
Exactly. And what they stress is it's really important to look at both your quantitative and your qualitative data. Quantitative data, that's all about the numbers. So your website traffic, your conversion rates, all of that. Qualitative data, on the other hand, is all about the why behind those numbers. So understanding the customer experience, their motivations, and how they view your brand.
So quantitative is telling us what's happening. Qualitative is telling us why.
Exactly.
And when you combine the two, you get a much richer understanding of who your audience is and how your content is resonating with them.
Precisely. And you can gather qualitative data in a few different ways. Customer surveys, feedback forms, and even just by monitoring your social media. It's about listening to your audience, figuring out what their pain points are, and then just understanding what makes them tick.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just about knowing that people are clicking on your ads or visiting your website. It's about understanding why they're doing that. What are they hoping to find? What problem are they trying to solve? And then once you know that, you can tailor your content even more effectively.
Exactly. Data analysis isn't just about reporting on the past. It's about using that information to help you make smarter decisions, optimize your content, and really achieve your business goals.
And speaking of business goals, the book really emphasizes the importance of making sure that your content marketing efforts are aligned with your overall business objectives.
Oh, this is huge. Because it's so easy to get caught up in the creative aspects of content marketing. But when it comes down to it, this is a business strategy. So your content needs to be working towards your business goals, whether that's generating leads, driving sales, or just building awareness for your brand.
So before you even start creating that content, you have to ask yourself, what am I hoping to achieve with this? What do I want this content to do for my business?
You got it. Think about it. What are my KPIs? How will I measure success? And how does this content contribute to the bigger picture? By aligning your content with those business goals, you make sure that all of your effort is driving real, tangible results.
Okay, so we've gone from defining our business model and brand identity to crafting that killer content to distributing it like a pro. But it
Yeah.
doesn't end there, right? We have to constantly evaluate, refine, and just adapt our strategy to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. And the book stresses how important this ongoing analysis and optimization is. It's not one and done. You have to constantly monitor how you're doing, figure out what's working, what's not working, and then make adjustments from there.
So it's about embracing that iterative process, always be looking for ways to improve. So what specific strategies does the book suggest for kind of evaluating and optimizing your content?
Well, they talk about A/B testing. So essentially, that's creating two versions of something and seeing which one performs better. They also talk about getting feedback from your customers, whether it's through surveys or feedback forms or just monitoring what people are saying about you on social media.
So it's like this constant feedback loop. You're not just guessing what your audience wants, you're asking them directly, hey, what do you think? And then using those responses to refine your strategy.
Exactly. It's about being data-driven, but also customer-centric.
Hmm.
And by constantly evaluating and optimizing, you're making sure that your content stays relevant, it stays engaging, and most importantly, it stays effective.
So we've talked about content marketing, but this book is called Digital Marketing All-in-One for Dummies. There's one more topic I want to touch on. Influencer marketing. It's one of those buzzwords that gets thrown around a lot these days, but what's the real deal?
Well, this book defines influencer marketing as the art and science of engaging people who are influential online to share your brand messaging with their audience.
So it's kind of like celebrity endorsements, but for the digital age. You're partnering with people who have that established credibility and influence to promote your brand.
Exactly. And the book really stresses the importance of choosing the right influencers for your brand. It's not about just finding someone with a massive following. It's about finding someone whose audience lines up with yours, whose values line up with your brand.
So how do you actually do that? What are some of the factors you should consider?
Well, they suggest looking at things like the demographics of their audience, their engagement rates, and brand alignment. You want to make sure that the influencer's audience is the same as your target market, that they have a high level of engagement, and then their values and brand image match up with yours. This should be a good fit for both of you.
So it's not about just finding someone with a lot of followers. It's about finding someone who can authentically connect with the right audience, the people who are actually going to be interested in what you have to offer, and someone who genuinely believes in your brand.
Absolutely. And this book, it offers some really great advice on how to find and vet potential influencers, how to develop a partnership that's mutually beneficial, and then how to track the results of your influencer campaigns. It's about building a strategic partnership, not just a transactional relationship.
Okay, so from defining your business model and crafting the perfect offer to mastering content marketing, B2B marketing, data analysis, influencer marketing, this book has really given us this whirlwind tour of the digital marketing landscape. But the question is, how do we actually take all of this information and apply it to our own business?
That is where the book's emphasis on developing a really comprehensive digital marketing strategy comes in.
Okay, so we need a plan. What are the key elements of that plan, according to Digital Marketing All-in-One for Dummies?
They are all about this framework called the 6 C's.
6 C's.
Yes. Company strategy,
Hmm?
customers, competitors,
Yeah.
collaborators,
Yeah.
channels, and content.
Okay, let's break that down a bit. So company strategy, that's got to be defining your business goals and how you're going to achieve them. So what's your big picture vision for the business?
Yeah, it's about figuring out your unique value proposition, your target market, and your competitive landscape. Where do you fit in and what makes you different?
Got it. And customers. That's got to be getting into the minds of those ideal customers.
Yes.
Understanding their needs, what their pain points are, their decision-making process, all of it.
Exactly. It's about developing those detailed customer personas, mapping out their buyer journey, and then identifying the key touch points where you can reach them with your message.
Okay. So we got our company strategy, we got our customers. What about competitors? That's got to be knowing who you're up against.
Right. And knowing what they're doing well and where you can set yourself apart.
Right, right.
It's about doing a thorough analysis of your competition, figuring out your strength, your weaknesses, and then developing a really unique positioning strategy. What do you offer that your competitors don't?
Okay. Company strategy, customers, competitors. Who else? Collaborators. So is that like finding partners that can help you reach new people and get your message out there?
Exactly. It's about figuring out who those key influencers are, the media outlets, and other organizations that really align with your brand.
Got it. Channels. That's got to be picking the right places to distribute your content and reach your audience. So where are all the cool kids hanging out online?
Right. You have to know the different channels that are available to you. Everything from social media to email marketing to search engine optimization, and then choosing the ones that are most effective for your target market.
And last but not least, content. That's got to be creating content that's actually good, engaging, resonates with your audience, and pushes them toward your business goals.
Exactly. You have to understand the different types of content that work best for the different stages of that buyer's journey, from building awareness to helping them make that final decision. And then you create a content calendar that aligns with your marketing strategy.
Wow, that's a lot to consider. But it sounds like those 6 Cs, they give you a really strategic approach to digital marketing. It's not just about doing a bunch of random things and hoping something sticks. It's about being really intentional with your plan.
Exactly. The 6 Cs are your roadmap to success. By carefully considering each one and then making a strategy that aligns with your unique business goals, you can create an online presence that's effective and sustainable.
So the takeaway here is that digital marketing, it's not just about following the latest trends or jumping on whatever the hot new platform is. It's about really understanding your business, your customers, and how the entire digital landscape is evolving. And then use that knowledge to create your strategic plan.
You got it. It's about being intentional. It's about being data-driven. It's about putting your customer first. And by embracing these principles that we find in digital marketing all in one for dummies, you can unlock your inner content marketing genius and achieve some real success.
You know, this deep dive has given me so many new insights. Who knew that a For Dummies book could be so insightful?
The thing that I keep coming back to is this. Digital marketing is a journey. It's not a destination. You are constantly learning, adapting, and evolving. And by embracing that and staying curious, you can see some really incredible results.
And you know what else I found really interesting in this book? It goes into email marketing, which, let's be honest, feels a little old school in today's world. With all the social media and the flashy ads, but digital marketing all in one for dummies makes a really good argument for why email is still important and essential in today's digital landscape.
I think what the book does really well is highlight that email gives you a direct line to your audience. It helps you build those relationships, nurture your leads, and drive conversions in a way that other channels can't. And because of all of the new marketing automation and personalization tools, you can make your emails really targeted and effective.
So how do they recommend that we kind of breathe new life into our email marketing? Because let's be honest, we've all been on the receiving end of those generic, impersonal emails that just end up in the trash.
Exactly. And that's why the book really emphasizes how important segmentation is, personalization. You're providing value with every single email that you send. So it's not about sending the same message to everyone on your list. It's about creating really targeted campaigns that speak to the needs and interests of every single subscriber.
So it's like you're treating your email list as this valuable asset, not just a bunch of addresses to spam.
Exactly. It's about building relationships. It's about nurturing your subscribers over time. And again, the book gives you a ton of great tips on how to do that, from writing subject lines that get your emails open to creating really engaging content.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of email marketing. What strategies does this book recommend for crafting those emails that convert? Because at the end of the day, that's what we all want. More sales, more leads, more engagement. How do we get there?
The book breaks down what makes a high-converting email into several different elements. They talk about a strong subject line to grab your reader's attention, make them want to open the email. Then it's about having a clear, concise message that gets to the point. People are busy. You don't want to waste their time with a lot of fluff.
You've got to cut through the noise, deliver a compelling message.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then they talk about a call to action. What do you actually want the reader to do after they read your email? You want them to click a link, make a purchase, download something, whatever it is, make it very clear what you want them to do.
Okay, so we have the strong subject line, we've got the clear and concise message, and we need a very strong, compelling call to action. Anything else?
Personalization is key. Use their name if you have it, segment your list based on their interests and how they've behaved in the past, and tailor your message. The more personal you can make those emails, the more likely it is that people will engage with them.
You want them to feel seen,
Exactly.
like you're talking directly to them.
Yes. And finally, testing. Just like any other marketing, you need to test your email campaigns to see what's working, what's not working.
So it's about embracing that iterative process and looking for those ways to improve your open rates, click-through rates, and conversion rates.
Precisely. Email is powerful, but you can't just set it and forget it. You need to be constantly looking at your results, making adjustments, and just staying up to date on the best practices to make sure that your email campaigns are as effective as possible.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good handle on email marketing. Now let's switch gears and talk about something a little more visual, video marketing.
Video marketing is huge right now, and it's only going to get bigger. The book actually argues that video is no longer just a nice-to-have, it is a must-have if you want to stay relevant, if you want to stay competitive in today's digital world.
So why is video so effective? What makes it such a valuable marketing tool?
Well, it's incredibly engaging. Our brains, we are hardwired to process information visually so much faster than text. So video is a really effective way to grab people's attention and just keep them hooked.
It's attention grabbing. What else?
Video is super versatile. You can use it for so many different things. You can use it to raise brand awareness. You can use it to educate your audience, drive traffic to your website, generate leads, product demos, explainer videos, behind-the-scenes content, customer testimonials. The possibilities are really endless.
So it's about finding those creative ways to tell your brand story, connect with your audience, and achieve your goals.
Exactly. And this book, it really breaks down the different types of video that you can create and how to use them. They talk about having a clear goal for every video and then making sure that you understand your audience and what they want. They also stress the importance of creating really high-quality videos. So good lighting, well shot, well edited. You don't have to be a professional videographer, but they should look good. They should look polished and professional.
That makes sense. You don't want to turn people off with a poorly made video.
Exactly. And they talk about optimizing your videos for search. Just like your website, you want to make sure that your videos are tagged correctly and described well so that people can find them easily.
So you're treating your videos just like any other piece of content. You're optimizing them, you're promoting them, and you're tracking your results to see what's working and what's not.
Exactly. Video marketing is such a powerful tool for reaching new people, building those relationships, and getting those results, but you need to be strategic about it.
Well, we have covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into digital marketing all-in-one for dummies. We've talked about everything from creating irresistible offers to mastering the art of email marketing and video, but we're not done yet. There's still so much more to uncover in this digital marketing treasure trove.
That's right. In the next part of our deep dive, we're going to be exploring the world of social media marketing. We'll get into how to choose the right platforms for your business, how to create engaging content, and how to measure your ROI.
So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll continue to unlock the secrets to digital marketing success. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back to another deep dive into digital marketing, all-in-one for dummies. Before the break, we were talking about video marketing, and now we're moving on to the world of social media. Buckle up.
It's a jungle out there, but luckily this book gives us a compass to help us figure out which platforms are actually worth our time.
Because, let's be real, there are so many options these days. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It can be overwhelming. You can't be everywhere at once.
Exactly. And the book says you don't have to be everywhere. It's about picking the platforms where your target audience is, actually hanging out.
So no more spreading ourselves thin, trying to master every new platform that pops up.
It's all about quality over quantity. The book really encourages us to understand our audience, their demographics, their interests, their online behavior, and then we focus our energy on the 1 or 2 platforms where those people are most likely to be.
So if you're trying to sell handmade jewelry, maybe focus on Instagram or Pinterest instead of, say, LinkedIn.
Exactly. Meet your audience where they are.
Right.
And then, once you've got your platforms, you need to create content that's going to grab their attention.
Because scrolling through social media these days can feel like a race to the bottom. How do we make our content stand out? How do we get people to stop scrolling?
Well, the book really emphasizes the power of visuals.
Hmm.
High-quality images, videos that actually grab you, eye-catching graphics. On social media, you really only have a split second to make a good first impression.
It's not just about what you say, it's how you say it.
Exactly. And the book gives some really good tips, like using bright colors and interesting fonts, but also think about incorporating humor and storytelling.
We can't forget about the social aspect of social media, right? It's
Mhm.
not just about broadcasting your message, it's about interacting with your
It's a
audience.
two-way street.
Yeah.
The book stresses how important it is to be responsive, answer people's comments, their messages, and foster a sense of community around your brand.
Don't just post and ghost, right?
Exactly.
You have to be present, engage those followers, make real connections.
And the book has some great practical advice on this. How
Mhm.
to schedule your posts, how to use social listening tools to track brand mentions, all of that.
Okay, so we're creating that great content, we're engaging with our audience, but how do we know if it's actually working? Social media can be a bit of a black box sometimes.
And that is where social media analytics come in. This is one of those topics that can seem kind of intimidating, but this book, they make it really easy to understand.
I've been there staring at my screen full of numbers and feeling completely lost. So, what are the metrics that we should actually care about?
Focus on the ones that match up with your overall goals. So if you're trying to get people to your website, you'll track your clicks and your website referrals. If it's all about generating leads, you want to focus on things like form submissions and email signups.
So, it's about moving beyond those vanity metrics, the likes and shares and comments, and really zoning in on the numbers that are moving the needle for your business.
Exactly. And the book gives a really helpful framework for figuring out your social media ROI, your return on investment.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Basically, you're measuring the value that you're getting from your efforts compared to what you're putting in your time, your money, your resources. So if you're spending, say, $100 on social media ads, you want to be making at least that much back, hopefully more.
So, you're treating it like any other business investment.
Right.
You track what you spend, you measure your returns, and you make adjustments.
Exactly. Social media can be incredibly effective, but it's not free. Make sure it's working for you.
This book is full of such great advice. We've talked about the perfect offer, email marketing, but there's even more. Digital marketing, all in one for dummies, also goes into SEO.
It's essential, right? You want to make sure that your website actually shows up when people search for you online.
It's like having that prime real estate in a busy part of town. When someone searches a term, you want to be right there.
This is another topic that a lot of people find confusing, but this book breaks it down into really manageable steps.
So let's talk about it. What are the key principles of SEO, and where do we even start?
Keyword research. That's the foundation. It's about understanding the actual words and phrases people use to find what you offer.
So get inside your customer's head. Think about what they would type into that Google search bar.
Right. And once you know what those keywords are, you can start putting them all over your website, your content, your blog posts, product descriptions, everywhere.
So you're not just stuffing your website with as many keywords as possible, you're using them thoughtfully within your content.
Exactly. Those algorithms are getting smarter.
Mm.
Google can spot keyword stuffing from a mile away, and it can actually hurt your rankings. You want to create content that's valuable and that happens to include those keywords naturally.
So we're trying to find that sweet spot content that people want to read and content that shows up in searches.
And the book goes beyond keywords. They talk about on-page and off-page optimization.
Okay, those sound a little technical. Can you break it down?
Of course. On-page optimization is all the things that you can do on your actual website to boost those rankings. So things like using keywords in your page titles and headings, image descriptions, and making sure your site works on mobile.
So it's about being user-friendly.
Exactly. You want it to be easy for search engines and for humans to use your site.
Got it. So what's off-page optimization?
That's about what you do off of your website. Think about things like getting links back to your site from other places.
Like what?
Like if you write a guest post on another website in your industry and they link back to you. Or if you're active in online communities and forums. When other good websites link to you, it tells Google that you're credible.
Like getting endorsements. Okay, that makes sense. So we have keywords, on-page, off-page. Is that everything?
The book does a really good job of breaking down all of the pieces, but it's important to remember that SEO is an ongoing process. You're not just going to do it once and be done. You need to keep track of where you rank, analyze your website traffic, and tweak your strategy.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, right?
Exactly.
We've talked a lot about reaching new customers, but this book also talks about holding on to the ones you have. That's where CRM comes in, customer relationship management. What's their take on that?
This book is all about building relationships with your customers that last. And they emphasize that CRM is not just about having some fancy software. It's a way of thinking about your business. You're putting the customer first and using your data to create those personalized experiences that make people come back for more.
So we're not sending out those generic "we miss you" emails.
Right. Think about segmenting your customer list based on what you already know about them and tailoring your messaging. You could offer a discount to your most loyal customers or use their order history to recommend a product you think they'd like.
So it's about making every customer feel valued, like they're special.
Exactly. And the book really highlights how important it is to make sure that your customer service is top-notch during every interaction. It's about going above and beyond to make sure that they have a really positive experience.
A happy customer is a loyal customer, and loyal customers are the best kind of customers.
Exactly. A smart CRM strategy can really boost your customer loyalty, increase their lifetime value, and ultimately make your business more profitable.
This deep dive has been so thought-provoking. We've covered a lot of ground, and it's clear that digital marketing is really about building relationships, providing value, and making genuine connections.
Absolutely. It's not just about the algorithms and the analytics, it's about connecting with people.
And you know what? This book really does make it seem a lot less intimidating. Who knew that a For Dummies book could be so insightful and inspiring?
I love that it gives you the strategy, but then it also gives you those concrete tactics that you can actually implement today. It's a great resource no matter where you are on your digital marketing journey.
We've been on quite the digital marketing journey with Digital Marketing All-in-One for Dummies, haven't we? We've talked about crafting offers, content marketing, navigating social media, but there's one last thing I want to touch on: measuring our success.
Well, you know what they say, you can't improve what you don't measure. And that's especially true in the world of digital marketing. Data is king.
We've talked about analytics throughout our deep dive, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the book's overall approach to measurement? Any key takeaways?
I think what's great is that it really stresses the importance of aligning those metrics with your business goals. It's really easy to get caught up in vanity metrics, but what matters is, are you getting the results you want?
Right. It's not about the likes and shares. It's about whether those marketing efforts are actually impacting your bottom line.
Exactly. And they give you this really clear framework for figuring out your KPIs, your key performance indicators, and then actually tracking your progress. You set your goals, you see how you're doing, and you make adjustments from there.
It's like having a dashboard for your marketing. You can tell at a glance if you need to change course.
Exactly. And the book doesn't just tell you what to measure, it gives you practical tips on using that data to get better results, optimize those campaigns.
Yeah.
So you're not just going with your gut, you're making informed decisions based on real information.
That's what I love about this book. It gives you high-level strategy, but then it also gives you really practical advice.
Totally agree. It's a fantastic resource for anyone who's serious about upping their digital marketing game.
Well, here we are at the end of our deep dive into digital marketing all-in-one for dummies. What a ride.
It's been great. We've talked about so much, figuring out your target audience, creating amazing content, and navigating social media and SEO. It's a lot.
And through it all, I think the big takeaway for me is that digital marketing really comes down to human connection. It's about building relationships, providing something valuable, and forging those connections with your audience. It's not just about the numbers.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
You have to understand what makes people tick, what they want, what their problems are, and then you can use digital marketing to connect with them in a way that feels genuine.
So, as we wrap things up, I have one question for our listeners. What's the one thing you're going to take action on today? What really resonated with you from Digital Marketing All-in-One for Dummies?
It's a great question to think about. And remember, the key is to never stop learning. The digital world is constantly changing, so you have to be willing to change with it.
And don't be afraid to experiment, even if it means making a few mistakes along the way. That's how we learn and get better. You might just surprise yourself with what you can achieve. Until next time, happy marketing, everyone.